You what your favorite characters are from this story.
It sounds controversial, but I like Shere Khan because we forget how broken he is as well and how damaged he is. And there's this thing that we say, whenever we talk about bullying, especially when we talk to kids, to help them understand and help them have empathy. Hurt people hurt.
Even apart from that, I noticed that you do a lot of running around, you're clinging to branches.
Yeah.
So it must have been a physically...
It was pretty physically challenging, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I did a lot of training for that as well, like wind sprints and stuff like that.
I see,
So, yeah.
okay. Hi, this is Sudhir Srinivasan and this is Cinema Express, the cinema division of the New Indian Express.
Hi.
Hi. So, Rohan, I can probably start by asking you what it was like to shoot for this film. One specific aspect especially. I noticed that you're constantly on all fours.
Yeah.
What was that like? What sort of... That must have been grueling for you.
Well, I mean, obviously we shot on sound stages in London, but we actually had like real trees and stuff as well, and like real rocks and stuff. So I mean, that was a little bit challenging, but also, I had to do a lot of research for like kind of moving like a wolf and interacting with the other wolves like a wolf. So I did a lot of research on YouTube, and I actually stayed upstate a little and slept over with wolves in a wolf conservatory center. So
Right.
it was really great to see how they kind of interacted with each other. And yeah, I mean, it was really important as well because Mowgli kind of advances through the film and almost becomes a bit more human throughout the film. So he starts off on all fours, but slowly kind of starts moving up.
So it's almost like evolution in a way, isn't it? I mean,
A
you start
little
off
bit,
on
yeah,
all fours,
yeah.
but
He's kind of
slowly you
in-
start to...
Exactly, he's kind of embracing his more human side, but yeah.
Right. Even apart from that, I noticed that you do a lot of running around, you're clinging to
Yes.
branches.
Yeah.
So it must have been a physically...
It was pretty physically challenging, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I did a lot of training for that as well, like wind sprints and stuff like that.
I see,
So, yeah.
okay. So were you both familiar with Kipling's story before you became part of this project?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's kind of like almost every kid, every child has been exposed to, whether they know it's written by Rudyard Kipling or not, they've all been exposed to a version of Jungle Book.
Right.
So growing up in India,
Yeah.
we all had our...
So there was no question of having to revisit the material.
I think that revisiting the material is amazing, to go back to it, to read it again, to know what you're getting into, to see what you missed out when you were probably in school or 15 years ago when you read it. But and that's always a fun little activity to go back to. But I don't think there was any education on who these characters are because they were already very familiar to both of us.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I actually grew up reading Rudyard Kipling short stories,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
was as well pretty
So I'm going to
familiar.
ask you this, what was it like to suddenly see yourself becoming the protagonist of the story that you so dearly enjoyed?
Well, I mean, actually, it was interesting because Mowgli. Obviously, I grew up with him, and he's almost like I kind of admire him as well.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, actually, when I watched the film, I kind of really got drawn into the story because I almost forgot that was me up on the screen. Actually,
Oh, yeah?
I mean,
Okay.
yeah. So also with the animals as well. I mean, obviously, you're aware that they're animals, but you kind of once again get lost in their human characteristics and how Mowgli sees them. And it's really great as well with performance capture. You can really see Christian through Bagheera, and I think that's really great for the audience because they really get to see it through Mowgli's eyes and how he sees these animals.
Right. You play a character called Mesua in the film, and it's a brief appearance in the film, isn't it? In such roles, how do you make sure? I mean, what do you do to make sure that your impact is felt, or is that something that you don't focus on?
Oh my God, no! It's very, very important to me that for me, no role is big or small in its giving. It's only big or small on what you see on paper, right? But in terms of what the value that it's adding, there's nothing big or small. I think for me, what was very beautiful was my character was being brought into the film at a time where the lead character would really need human touch,
Right.
the human caring hands, human healing, to make him believe that this other side of the world that he's been kind of kept away from, which look like him, walk like him, talk like him in a way, though he's been like born and brought by wolves.
Right.
They're not evil either. There are aspects of almost, whether it's the animal world or the human world, there are people. There are a few aspects that could be evil or like black or white, but there are kind people too. And so I
Right.
am very glad that I got to be the kind introduction
Right.
that he
What
gets
do
to
you?
the human world.
He's generally thought of as he's referred to as a freak.
Yes, like
what do you
a
suppose
feral child.
drew your character to him, even though he was
So there
It was
is
quite unusual.
Yeah, I think Andy and I built on a couple of things like backstories, obviously, which you can't always put everything into
Yeah.
a film because there's so much to be told
Right.
in 2 hours.
Right.
But we believed that Mesua lost her own child and was, was looking for the love that she could give to another child, another boy, another girl, whoever
Right.
came into her life. And she was given by the hunter this child to take care of, and he immediately becomes her son.
Right.
So that's why I say I play his adopted mother,
Right.
not his real mother, but
Right.
his adopted mother.
So as a
Yeah.
last question, I can probably ask you what your favorite characters are from this story, each of you.
Well, I mean, obviously, I love Mowgli. Obviously, I really kind of admire his perseverance in a way because he has so many obstacles thrown at him over and over again, and he just keeps pushing through them no matter what happens.
Right.
And even if he goes down the wrong path, he tries to correct it at right path. So I really admire that about him.
Right. What about you?
I think this. It sounds controversial, but I like Shere Khan because we forget how broken he is as well, and how damaged he is. And there's this thing that we say, whenever we talk about bullying, especially when we talk to kids, to help them understand and help them have empathy. Hurt people hurt.
Right.
Hurt people hurt other people. So I think it was, for me, the way our Shere Khan was played out as well was very important because there is not just like ruthlessness and evil and meanness. There's brokenness within him as well. And I'm always drawn to characters like that. So Shere Khan was always my favorite in terms of his ferocity and his his will to destroy this kid. And Baloo would always be the favorite funny character.
Of course. Okay. Thank you so much for this
Thank you.
conversation.
It's really
Thank
nice
you.
talking.